7 bone-chilling disappearances that haunt us forever. The shocking truth revealed. The clock struck midnight, and the town of Maple Hollow held its breath. Shadows danced in the eerie glow of the streetlights, and whispers floated through the air. 7 souls had vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but lingering dread and unanswered questions. What secrets were buried in this quaint little town? A chill crept through the night as the tales began to unravel like a dark tapestry. Jessica Henderson, the high school cheerleader, disappeared on a crisp autumn afternoon. One minute she was practicing her routine, full of laughter and cheers, and the next, poof. Gone. The last person to see her was a mystery man, described only by a fleeting glimpse where darkness met light. He vanished into the shadows, just like her. The investigation revealed no evidence, just a tight knot in every parent's throat as they searched for their missing child. Then there was Daniel, a local artist whose hazy world of colors was suddenly snuffed out. He was last spotted near the riverbank, sketching the sun setting behind the mountains. His canvas, untouched, was found the next day, staring blankly at the serene waters, but Daniel was nowhere to be found. Instead, the river continued to flow, carrying whispers of his art in its current while his absence sent waves of sorrow through the town. As days turned into weeks, the unease thickened in the air. Town meetings echoed with frantic voices, hearts pounding as families clung to hope, but fear loomed heavy. Could this be a curse? Each disappearance added another layer to the town's dark secret. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The town held its collective breath. Everyone looked over their shoulders, shadows stretching longer with each passing day. The chilling news of a missing school trip suddenly echoed throughout the hall's 4 students, just gone like sand slipping through fingers. Their laughter turned into eerie silence, leaving parents clutching cell phones as if they could somehow keep them safe. Every disappearance added fuel to the fire. People talked of strange lights in the woods and hushed voices that drifted on the wind, almost guiding the lost away. What kind of presence lurked in Maple Hollow? As dread hung over the town like a dark cloud ready to burst, hope flickered like a dying candle. As the last leaf fell, a chilling sense of urgency gripped everyone. Each disappearance cast a long shadow, but one more would be the breaking point. When the next name was whispered, could the town survive the terror? Or were secrets tangled deep in the woods waiting to be exposed? As the clock ticked on, every heartbeat echoed with unspoken fears, ready to reveal the shocking truth. The air was thick with fear as dawn broke over Maple Hollow. A thin veil of fog hung low, curling around the deserted streets like fingers creeping into the cracks of the town. The sun struggled to break through the gloom, casting dim light on the homes where dread had settled like an unwelcome guest. Inside the tiny cafe, local citizens gathered in tense clusters, murmurs low and urgent. A newspaper lay on the counter, splashed with a headline that sent shivers down spines: "Another missing, where is Olivia Castor?" The photograph that accompanied the article showed a girl with a bright smile, her eyes sparkling with youthful energy, now reduced to a silent plea for help. She was just 16, the youngest of the group to disappear, and panic ignited among the townspeople like a match tossed into gasoline. Emma, a petite waitress with wide brown eyes, overheard snippets of conversation as she moved between tables. "What if it's the woods? We need to close them off. Did you hear about the old man who said he saw something? What if they're taken, like a curse?" The frantic statements raced through her mind, suffocating her with dread. She had always found comfort in the woods, a refuge from the noise of life. Now they loomed like sentinels of terror, harboring secrets that could engulf everyone she loved. As night fell, a group of townsfolk decided they couldn't sit idly by. The mayor led them, his determination like a beacon. "We'll search the woods. We can't let fear win." His voice thundered through the gathering, but in his eyes, a flicker of doubt navigated the shadows. Flashlights danced like fireflies through the trees, beams cutting through the darkness. The crunch of leaves underfoot matched the rhythm of anxious hearts. They called out for Olivia, each echo swallowed by the oppressive night. The woods felt alive, twisting and shifting around them, as if mocking their efforts. Suddenly, a shrill scream pierced the silence, reverberating through the underbrush. Every soul froze, hearts pounding in unison. The group turned toward the direction of the sound. Emma's pulse raced, her breath caught in her throat. "Someone go check." Amongst the chaos, no one moved. Then they heard it again. This time it was followed by an unsettling laughter, high and disembodied, dancing on the air like a sinister tune. The mayor rallied the group, a mix of anger and fear swirling within him. "We need to keep going. It's just the trees playing tricks." But Emma's gut twisted, she felt a truth in the laughter that gnawed at her. What if something sinister really lurked in the depths of those woods? As they pressed deeper, a shimmering light glowed in the distance, beckoning them closer. The closer they got, the more entranced they became. Emma felt a magnetic pull as if the light knew them, recognized their fears and whispered promises in the dark. But before they reached it, a figure lurched from the shadows, silhouetted against the brilliance. It was a young girl. "Help me. Please." It was Olivia. No sooner had the words left her lips than the woods erupted into chaos. Shadows lunged forward, swirling around them, swallowing the group in darkness. Emma's heart raced. What had they awakened? As the screams echoed and the light faded, one thought consumed her: were they doomed to join the ranks of the lost, or could they find a way to escape this malevolent fate? The question lingered painfully in the air as the chaos subsided, leaving behind an eerie silence heavy with uncertainty. Every heartbeat counted now. The moment had arrived for the ultimate showdown, stripped of hope, facing whatever darkness laid ahead. What secrets would they unravel to survive, if anything at all? The cold clutches of darkness tightened around Emma and the group, pressing in with an intensity that felt suffocating. Hearts drummed in their chests, the distant sounds of chaos mingled with a heavy silence. Shadows loomed, twisting and writhing like angry serpents ready to strike. "Olivia!" The mayor's voice surged with desperation. He lunged towards the shape standing trembling in the light. But before he reached her, the shadows surged forward, tendrils of darkness stretching out, clawing at their minds and bodies. Emma felt a panic rising in her throat. "Don't touch her!" She screamed, but it was as if her voice got lost in the shroud enveloping them. The laughter, that chilling, nerve-wrenching laughter, echoed now, closer, taunting them. Each heart thudded loudly against the palpable fear, threatening to explode. The glowing light flickered, casting sharp angles and eerie shadows. Olivia's face was streaked with dirt, eyes wide with terror. Her appearance, which once radiated warmth, now bore the scars of dread. "You need to help me," she cried, but her voice trembled, a fragile string laden with despair. "Where are the others?" Emma managed to ask, her words barely rising above the tension. A shrill whisper from the trees almost drowned it out. "They're lost," Olivia stammered, fear clawing at each word. "Something took them. We have to go." Her eyes darted towards the dark woods, wide with haunting memories, but just as Emma felt the instinctual urge to race towards her, the shadows seemed to writhe as one. They pushed against the group, suffocating and consuming them until only Olivia remained illuminated. "Stay back!" the mayor yelled, raising his flashlight. It flickered uncertainly, revealing monstrous forms pulsating within the darkness. The silhouettes danced ominously, writhing as if savoring their fear. A sudden surge of bravery sparked within Emma. "No! We have to stay together." Struggling against the wave of despair threatening to swallow her, she fought against the dark pull. We can't leave anyone behind. Not now. Emma. Olivia's voice barely reached her, stark with urgency. It knows us. It knows our fears. A dark wind howled through the trees. With every second, the group felt their resolve weaken. The shadows clawed at their souls, pulling memories and insecurities from every heart. Dread sank in. Maybe they weren't meant to escape this nightmare. Maybe they had already been condemned. In a shattering moment, the shadows surged once more, a swirl of ink and malice, and with it came a disembodied voice, a soft whisper that sent ice through Emma's veins. Join us! Screams erupted. The group stumbled back, glancing at one another with fear-stricken eyes. Get Olivia! Emma shouted, rushing forward even as trepidation gripped her gut. Her fingers fumbled for the girl's arm, praying this wasn't the last time she saw the light in her eyes. In a split second, a figure leapt from the breadth where darkness converged, tall, cloaked, face obscured. Emma felt her breath catch. Who are you? She cried that as the figure stepped into the light, gasps broke out. There, standing among them, was a ghostly image of the girls who had vanished before. They looked like fading photographs, their eyes hollow yet pleading, faces locked in an eternal expression of horror. You cannot leave, they chorused, voices slithering through the night, chasing after hopes and dreams. Emma's heart pounded like a drum in her ears. The confrontation was no longer just with the shadows. It was with the unnameable fear that had gripped Maple Hollow. This feeling of dread that had embedded itself deep within them all. As time slowed, the terrible weight settled. They stood at the precipice of their choices, visions of despair around them and shadows whispering promises of oblivion. With the flicker of Olivia's light dimming and reality feeling more fragile than ever, Emma's world spiraled in chaos again. Would they fall victim to a past that refused to be buried, or could they find the strength to fight? The chilling whispers hissed around them, demanding to know. What secrets would they uncover when they faced the truth? The air was thick and heavy, pressing down on Emma and her friends like a weight they couldn't bear. Every breath felt shallow, their lungs constricted by the encroaching dread. The ghostly figures lingered just outside the flickering light, their hollow eyes fixated on the group, dripping with unspoken terror. Why won't you let us go? The mayor shouted, desperation clawing at his voice. What do you want? One of the specters stepped forward, and Emma felt her heart race. The girl's lips barely moved as she spoke, but the words came through clear, echoing in the night. We seek what was taken. What you have hidden. Emma felt the chill seep into her bones. What did that mean? They were not just there to scare them. They were demanding something buried and forgotten. None of us have hidden anything, Emma replied, trying to steady her wavering voice. Yet doubt gnawed at her. They all had secrets, didn't they? Everyone in Maple Hollow had burdens they carried, some more than others. Time's running out, Olivia whimpered, shifting anxiously. The shadows danced, flickering like firelight against wood. It's coming for us. Before Emma could comprehend the meaning, the cloaked figure advanced, seeming to pull the shadows tighter with every step. What is dear to you is lost, it hissed, the voice a serpentine whisper that coiled around Emma's mind. Embrace the darkness, and perhaps you will find a way out. There was no backing away now, they were trapped. The nagging questions fed her rising panic. What did they need to save? What sacrifice was being demanded? Think. Emma shouted, her voice cutting through the fog. What have we done? What do they want? She turned to her friends, their faces pale and haunted. What are our fears? What secrets are we hiding? A memory struck her with a jolt. The day when they had all gathered at the old quarry, a place where laughter had echoed now felt tainted. The hidden thrill of testing boundaries had turned into something darker, faced with some truth they had brushed under the rug. Olivia, you know something. What don't we see? Emma pressed as the shadows seemed to tighten their grip, suffocating her resolve. I didn't. Olivia trembled, tears glistening in her eyes. I thought time would erase it. But it hasn't, has it? The chilling figures began to swirl, each face morphing into familiar shapes from their childhood, friends, unspoken fears, neglected memories. A sorrow settled over the group, thicker than the encroaching darkness. A sudden howl cut through the air, unleashing a cacophony of whispers. This is your truth. You must confront it. Emma's heart sank. It was a test of strength, a battle against the very horrors crafted from their own minds. No. We won't succumb. She spat defiantly, although the shadows were insatiable, biting at her determination. Desperation rose as she glanced at Olivia, who looked ready to break. Hold on. We have something. They want our truth. Let us face it together. Yet, as she grasped Olivia's hand, a wave of overwhelming fear engulfed them. The mayor, summoning all he had left, joined their hands, forming a circle, a barrier against the chaos. Show us. He shouted, voice muffled against the rising tide of shadows. We will not be pulled under. As the ground beneath them trembled, trembling shadows lashed out like serpents. The figures began to melt into a pool of darkness, the whispers rising in a desperate crescendo, you cannot contain it forever. And in that instant, the lights dimmed, making her heartbeat echo in her ears. Just as the first strike of panic coursed through her, Emma felt her grip on reality fray, the darkness pulling the world around her like molasses. She gasped, what will it take? The shadow drew closer, visions of their buried secrets blazing in its wake. Emma's chest tightened, and she knew this fight was only just beginning. Unravel the truth, it hissed, as the last remnants of light faded away, leaving them standing on the edge of darkness once more. What were they willing to lose to uncover what the shadows desired? Emma's world twisted and spun until all she could see was swirling darkness. Shadows darted at the fringes of her vision, taunting her with a sense of inevitability. She could feel the weight of dread crushing down, suffocating her thoughts. Then, a soft sound pierced through the oppressive gloom, a heartbeat. It was steady, rhythmic, almost comforting in this chaos. Yet, it was followed by whispers that wrapped around her like a noose, tightening with every beat. Each whisper carried a name, dredging up forgotten memories like debris from the depths of a dark ocean. Emma, Olivia, Daniel. Panic surged. No. We're not, but the words were snatched away, as if the shadows had cupped their hands over her mouth. Struggling to breathe, Emma's heart raced, thrumming louder than the dark cacophony surrounding her. Face the truth. The cloaked figure loomed closer, its form unfurling like a nightmarish flower under an unseen light. Only then can you escape. Behind her, Olivia's grip faltered. What truth? She cried out, her voice quavering. We can't lose anything more. His secret. Emma blurted, spinning to Daniel, who stood frozen, sweating under the pressure of their collective fears. It's about your brother. The shadows grew more animated, burrowing into the corners of their minds. Yes, yes, they hissed in unison, and Emma felt a shiver run down her spine. The shadows were delighted, Daniel's face paled, panic flickering in his eyes. I thought it was behind me. He stumbled, as if pushing down the weight of guilt could erase it. The truth is never behind you. Emma shot back, steeling herself. We need to confront it. We can't let it control us. The air crackled with tension, and in that moment, Daniel's defenses crumbled. Fine. He shouted, his voice raw. I never told you about the fight. I never told you what happened the day he disappeared. In that instant, the shadows surged, wrapping around his voice like vines. Release it, Daniel, they urged, pulling him deeper into their claustrophobic embrace. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Tell us. Please, we can't lose anyone else, she pleaded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Daniel looked torn, fear twining with a desperate resolve. We were just being kids. It was supposed to be harmless. We went to the quarry, just like you said, but he faltered, shaking his head, as if trying to shake off a haunting mist. He slipped. Slipped where? Olivia pressed, her voice barely above a whisper. He fell into the water. I didn't know how to save him. I thought he would float to the surface. He didn't. I never told anyone. The air thickened as the specters shifted, their whispers rising to a fever pitch. Binded by guilt, held captive by fear. A wave of understanding washed over Emma, sharp and painful. This is what they want. Our secrets are chaining us. The truth can set us free. She shouted, rallying her strength. What if I lose him? Daniel shouted back, his voice thick with emotion. What if this truth destroys everything I have left? Then we break the chains together, Emma said, desperate to pierce through the layers of despair. We face it as friends. Release the truth, Daniel. The cloaked figure hissed, and the shadows twisted around him like a predator starving for its prey. Suddenly, the darkness seemed to shudder, almost recoiling as if preparing for an explosion. The ground began to shake violently, rocking the group like a storm-tossed ship. Fight it! Olivia screamed, her eyes wild with panic as she gripped Emma's hand tighter. As they braced themselves against the onslaught, Emma could feel a surge of explosion brewing beneath the surface, a battle of wits, of memories, of pain yet to be faced. The shadows melted into visages of the past, guilt, loss, anger. The tentacles of darkness writhed, desperately trying to wrap around their hearts, and then it struck Emma, the dawning realization that the truth could be as liberating as it was terrifying. Would they emerge free, or would the darkness consume them whole? A shadow surged forward, its eyes burning into the very depths of her soul. What will you sacrifice, Emma? What to unlock the dark hold of your past? Emma's breath hitched. It felt as if the world was asking her to make the ultimate choice. What would it cost them to unveil the truth? As the storm of shadows roared around her, Emma realized they were on the brink of something monumental. A revelation loomed just out of reach, and it needed to be grasped before the shadows snatched it away. What price were they willing to pay to set their demons free? The ground trembled beneath them, a cacophony of fear manifesting as the shadows writhed like a living entity. Emma could hardly think, the chaos surged around her, the whispers growing endlessly louder, blurring reason and drowning clarity. Daniel! She screamed, trying to cut through the panic, but her voice felt lost in the swirling blackness. You have to tell us. Make it stop. He looked at her, fear shaking his entire being. I need to remember. If I share it, will it die? His voice cracked, raw with desperation. Maybe. Emma shouted back. It's worth the risk. We have to break free. The cloaked figure loomed, the shadows pooling thick around Daniel, snaking toward Olivia and Emma like thunderclouds ready to unleash a storm. It is not merely words, Daniel, it hissed. It is your truth that binds you. The facade of safety will shatter the moment you unveil it. Just stop. Olivia cried, shaking with terror as the shadows drew in closer, almost tangible now. Don't let them control you. But in Daniel's wide eyes flickered something deeper, a memory. Emma could almost see the gears turning behind his gaze, and she grabbed his shoulders, grounding him. Remember that day, Daniel. Remember him. If we embrace the truth, we can face the shadows together. Together, he murmured, and for a moment, the shadows hesitated, the air crackled with uncertainty. Let it out, Daniel, Emma urged, the thudding of her heart sinking with the persistent beat that pulsed through the darkness. All at once, the whispers quieted, as if collectively holding their breath for the explosive truth to erupt. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Daniel's voice broke, echoing through the silence that seemed to throb in anticipation. It was just a stupid prank. We dared him to jump. I thought he'd swim back. But he didn't. He was gone. Time fell away, and in that instant, the shadows surged forward, ravenous like sharks drawn to blood. Daniel's words cut through the air with a clarity that droplets of rain might splatter against parched earth. Do you see? The cloaked figure hissed, its face twisting with delight at the chaos emerging. Your guilt brought you here. Its weight is your true prison. The shadows thickened, wrapping Daniel first, then Olivia. Emma's chest constricted, her breath hitching in her throat like a fist closing. But she had to fight. She had to reach him. No. Enough. Emma shouted defiantly. We choose to face our past. It holds no power over us anymore. We can rewrite our story. As her words hung in the air, the shadows shuddered, recoiling as if struck. The heartbeat, once an ominous thrum in her ears, shifted into something powerful, an anthem of resistance. Fate is written by those who dare. Emma declared, her grip on Daniel tightening even as the darkness bore down on her. We cannot be defined by fear. We will not back down. Daniel's eyes glistened, fighting the grasp of fate. But what if I'm lost again? What if I don't forgive myself? His voice trembled, hinting at a fracture once exited. Then we will carry each other, Emma replied, feeling resolution seep into her bones. Even in darkness, we can light the way. The shadows roared, twisted, and twined in one final desperate attempt to chain them to despair. But Emma thrust her palm forward, shattering the darkness with their united strength. A luminous burst erupted from their feet, bathing the space in brilliant light that flickered against the oppressive gloom. I release you. She cried, her voice echoing defiantly. What erupted from Daniel was a torrential wave of regret, but coupled with relief the two forces intertwined to form a new entity, an embrace of aching truth that finally awakened a long-buried freedom. Yet, even as the shadows shrieked and clawed, something deep within the light tugged at Emma, an unresolved thread lurking at the edge of her consciousness. There was more to be known. What else? She whispered, heart racing, eyes scanning the luminous abyss. What's still hidden? In that split second, a silhouette stumbled from the edges, dragging behind it another whispering phantom of the past, shadows that had not yet relinquished their hold, and beneath it all, a chilling realization crept in, unlocking one truth could lead them to another far worse. What awaited them in that heavy silence? Would their pasts rise to meet them, or was this merely the beginning of yet another descent into darkness? The light throbbed, pulsating like a heartbeat, pushing back the relentless shadows. Emma felt its warmth wrapping around her, igniting a flicker of hope. Yet, the silhouette looming just outside the light, pale and trembling, held her breath hostage. Who are you? Emma called, her voice steady despite the flood of dread clawing at her throat. The figure shuffled closer, and every inch it moved sent a shiver through the air. It was a girl, barely older than Daniel, with hollow cheeks and eyes that mirrored the darkness surrounding them. Help me. Her voice was but a whisper, a specter laced with despair. Help. Daniel echoed incredulously, stepping forward. You should run. Get away. But it was too late. A chill gripped Emma's heart as the shadows, sensing weakness, surged forward again. They danced and twirled with grotesque glee, eager to snatch this new soul into their dark embrace. And still, the girl stood there, rooted in fear. Who are you? Emma demanded again, this time softer. What happened to you? I was lost like you, the girl said, a tremor lacing her words. They found me. They always find. Her gaze darted toward the shadows as if they were alive, watching, waiting. You must not let them take you. The shadows recoiled, as if her words stung, but it was only a momentary retreat. Emma's resolve tightened. We are not letting anyone take us. You have to help us. There's nothing left, the girl whispered, her voice breaking. Only despair remains. The truth kills just as it saves. Daniel gripped Emma's hand, and she could feel his trembling. But what if it helps us find you? He asked, desperation creeping into his tone. We need your truth. We need to know what happened. Truth. The girl's laughter was a broken sound that echoed in the stillness. Truth is a knife. It cuts deep, and some wounds never heal. You might think you can save me, but your light will only draw the shadows nearer. Then we face them together. Olivia shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. If we're strong enough to embrace our past, we can protect you. We can protect each other. As Olivia spoke, the shadows faltered, twisting in confusion. Emma turned to the girl, her heart racing with a glint of determination. Tell us. If you know anything that can help us, anything at all. The girl hesitated, her gaze drifting toward the encroaching darkness. Slowly, it seemed, she was surrendering to the light, stepping closer, though not fully emerging from the shadows. Listen, the fear in her eyes softened slightly. Once, there were 7 of us. 7 who followed the game, a game of dares that turned tragic. Dares? Daniel's voice was taut. What do you mean? 7 bones, 7 hearts. Her words trailed off into a choked sob. Only the first truly fell. The others were forgotten, but they are the ones who haunt. The shadows howled at the revelation, as if their very existence depended on remaining hidden, on keeping the truth buried. Suddenly, the earth shook violently. The brilliance of the light fractured, sending shards of brightness across the darkened void, each reflecting fragments of past pain and heartache. Don't let them take you. The girl screamed, her voice laced with urgency. Remember the bones. Bones? What bones? Emma shouted, panic surging as the shadows writhed, engulfing them in a cacophony of screams and ghostly wails. I can't remember. Daniel yelled. I don't want to be lost again. With a sudden rush, the shadows lunged, and Emma felt their icy breath against her skin. Frantic, she held on tighter to Daniel, their combined strength pushing against the darkness. Fight! She cried, willing the light to expand. Fight with me. The girl's fading silhouette shimmered, overwhelmed but unwilling to yield. Remember. Remember them. The shadows screamed back, desperate to silence her, to take them all. Emma knew they had to embrace this, but fear twisted in her gut. What would the truth uncover? What bones lay buried beneath the weight of their past? As the light began to flicker, a blinding surge filled the air, threatening to overwhelm the shadows once and for all, but would it come at a price too steep to pay? What darkness was still hidden, waiting to be unleashed? Emma's heart raced, on the precipice of revelation, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of something much deeper, something that could explode into chaos. Don't look back. Olivia hollered, anchoring them even as regret and sorrow swirled in their midst. What lay ahead in the shadows? What truth could tear them apart or bind them together? Emma braced herself, knowing that whatever came next would change everything. The ground trembled beneath Emma's feet, and for a moment, time stretched thin. She felt the energy pulsing in the air, a dangerous vibration that hinted at chaos. Hold on! Emma shouted, her heart beating only slightly slower than the swirling shadows circling them. But just as she gathered strength, the shadows converged, clawing at the edges of the light, warping it into an uncertain glow. Emma! Daniel cried, his eyes wide with terror. What do we do? The girl in the shadows delivered a haunting truth with a voice that cut through the chaos. Remember the bones. You can't escape unless you understand. Memory flooded over Emma, unbidden and intricate. A flash of old photographs, the laughter, the dares, a reckless game between friends. Had they played such a game? What had it cost them? The scattered images danced in her mind like the flickering light, endlessly frustrating, offering nothing but questions. Stop! Olivia shouted, grappling with the shadows as if physically wresting them away. We need to remember. We have to think. Think about what? Daniel yelled, pain shimmering in his eyes. This is madness. 7 bones, Emma murmured, grasping desperately. 7 something sacred. She could feel the shadows growing bolder, tasting their fear. If we remember together, we can break free. Together, Olivia echoed. On 3, we think of the game. No fear. Just memories. 1. Emma shouted. 2. Olivia urged. 3. They shouted as one. Suddenly, the light burst, illuminating them in radiant glory. Images flooded back fragile moments they shared, trust, laughter, and innocence lost. The thrill of their dares and the deepening bond, mixed with the haunting promise of darkness they never predicted. Ben. Daniel gasped, realization dawning as a shadowy figure emerged from the depth of darkness. Another lost one. He was part of us. The girl trembled. Yes. But he was taken. The first to fall. We have to find him. Emma cried, desperation clawing at her throat. We have to save him. The shadows stirred, angrier now, revolting against their defiance. You cannot face what you don't understand. They hissed, their voices a sinister choir in Emma's ears. Don't let them scare you. Olivia shouted, her voice slicing through the din. Remember his laughter, remember the warmth he brought. And his smile, Emma recalled, losing herself in memory. We loved him. We all loved him. There was a shift in the atmosphere, a stillness that crept in after the tempest. The shadows paused, startled by the weight of their words. Love? The girl echoed, her eyes wide with recognition. It can pierce the darkness, but at what cost? A gut-wrenching silence fell. Emma glanced at Daniel, and his face was a mask of fear and resolve. We have to try, he whispered. For Ben. The shadows writhed, struggling against the energy building between the three of them. Emma reached out, entwining her fingers with Daniel's and Olivia's. Their hands formed a circle of united purpose. Together. Emma exclaimed. She felt the warmth of their flesh, a blazing reminder that they were alive. Let us break the cycle. With their hearts beating in tandem, they summoned the strength of their shared memories, the light expanding to envelop the girl, the shadows flickering back in response. But darkness fought back hard. Winds of despair and anger rose, screeching into a feral wail that pierced through the air. Do you know what awaits? The shadows mocked, closing ranks and pushing against the wall of light. Will you risk everything? Everything, Emma breathed, transformed by the weight of truth now dancing through the air. And then it happened. A rift opened in the darkness, pooling with an ominous glimmer. Desperation twisted in her stomach. The girl's form flickered like a flame caught in a storm, as though she was caught between realms. What's happening? Daniel shouted above the chaos. The girl turned, her once hollow eyes blazing with fierce hope. You must find the bones. Only then will you understand, only then will you save us. As the shadows closed in tightly, Emma felt their grip slack. Wait. What? Bones? Where do we find them? The question hung heavy in the air, pulsing with urgency, as the girl's silhouette vanished into the rift, swallowed whole. Panic surged inside Emma. What now? Daniel's grip tightened as they stood together in the light, heartbeat sinking, breathless hope fighting against the lingering dread. The darkness loomed, and beneath its weight, they could feel the echoing laughter of the past. Cut through it, Olivia urged. But even as she spoke, staring into the abyss, a question bled from Emma's lips. What if the truth is worse than we imagined? The shadows roared in response, an anguished cry that reverberated through the dim space around them. Emma's pulse quickened. She realized the stakes were increasing, and the game hadn't ended yet. What lay hidden in the bones? Would they muster the courage to unveil the truth? Determination steadied her heart. They pushed forward, ready to face whatever darkness lurked ahead. But the question loomed larger than ever. What if uncovering the truth revealed a darkness deeper than any of them could bear? They stumbled forward, the shadows still lurking, unwelcome witnesses to their quest. Emma couldn't shake the horror of the girl's gaze as she vanished. The girl had offered hope, but that hope was laced with desperation, the urgency thickening the air around them. Where do we even start? Daniel breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. Ben, Emma replied. He must know something. He was always part of our games. Her mind raced back to the last 3 days before Ben disappeared, the dares, the whispers, the thrill that consumed them then, unrelenting in its grasp. Olivia's eyes flickered with something like resolve. Let South go to the place where it all started. The old tree by the river. Emma nodded, a flash of bitter nostalgia washing over her. The massive oak was their playground, full of promises and secrets. But it was also where everything shifted, where innocence gave way to the shadows that had crept into their lives. The path was overgrown, the usual crackle of leaves beneath their feet transformed into a muffled silence. Shadows still loomed around them like a thick fog, pressing in, as if trying to restrain their progress. Emma stole a glance at Daniel. Determination painted his features, yet his eyes glinted with fear. "Do you really think we can do this?" he asked. "Yes." The word felt flimsy against the weight of the darkness, but she forced herself to believe it. For Ben, they reached the clearing, the oak standing sentinel over their memories. It seemed larger, more imposing than she remembered. "This was where we dared each other," Emma said quietly. "This is where it all went south." As her fingers brushed against the bark, something tingled beneath her skin, the echo of laughter long buried, twisted now by shadows. She turned to find Daniel staring at something nestled among the roots, his face paling. "Emma, look." A jumble of bones, splintered from years of decay, lay half buried in the dirt. She gasped, inching closer. The sight sent shivers down her spine. "What? No. This can't be." Memories flooded back. The countless stories and names of children who vanished, leaving behind only traces in the earth. Ben hadn't just disappeared, he may have ended up here. "We have to dig," Olivia whispered, urgency flashing in her eyes. They knelt, fingers clawing at the dirt, unearthing fragments of the past. But as each piece emerged, so did a deeper unease. What if these bones were not just remnants of lost children? A sickening thought twisted in Emma's gut. What if some of them belonged to their own friends? Emma. Daniel hesitated, his hands trembling. What if they're Ben's? Emma's heart lurched, a chasm opening up inside her. "We have to keep going. We need to find out the truth." With frantic energy, they continued to dig, unearthing shards of bone, memories wrapped in soil, all swirling within this one place. Suddenly, Emma stumbled upon something solid, dragging it into the light. It was a small, unbroken skull, its hollow eye sockets dark and empty. "Stop!" Olivia shrieked, eyes wide as she grabbed Emma's arm, halting her movements. "What if we shouldn't be doing this? What if we find something we can't handle?" But Emma brushed off the rising dread. "We must. We need answers, the truth for Ben." As if in response, the shadows thickened, swirling violently, ripping through the air. "You have entered a sacred place," they hissed, their voices sharp and echoing. "You tread where others have been lost." The wind howled, as if the voices of the departed were crying out against their actions, urging them to turn back. Emma's heart thumped painfully against her ribs. "We can't stop now. Not after we've come this far." But self-doubt gnawed at her, urging her to turn away. Digging deeper might reveal horrors too great to bear. Could they risk ever knowing? "Keep going," Daniel urged, a fierce resolve igniting in his eyes. For Ben. And somehow, the echo of their friend's spirit gave them the strength they needed as they pressed on, the ominous air thick with foreboding. As the last flecks of dirt were brushed away, they uncovered a small, weathered token, a locket pinned to the skull. Emma's breath hitched in her throat. It was engraved with familiar initials, the letters intertwining, a reflection of their past bond. "What if this reveals everything?" She gasped, the locket trembling in her hand. They knew this moment was pivotal, a decision of monumental weight resting heavy on their shoulders. Could they bear the truth that lay cocooned in this small piece of metal? What if this locket holds secrets we're not prepared for? Olivia whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying her fear. A dark resolution settled over them, and every breath in the clearing felt charged with something monumental, something that could change everything they thought they knew. Could they face what awaited them within the locket? Emma held it tightly, feeling the weight of the past pressing against her. They exchanged glances, hearts pounding with anticipation and dread. And as Emma flipped the locket open, the world around them dissolved into darkness, and the shadows danced like demons at their feet. What secrets would the locket reveal? And would the answers take them deeper into the shadows than they could ever imagine? The darkness pulled away, revealing a shimmering vision intertwined with flickering memories. Emma gasped as images flooded her mind. The locket felt like a bridge to a world long forgotten. She saw them, the 7 friends, young and vibrant, laughing by the river, their bonds unbreakable. But the laughter twisted into haunting echoes, replaced by the shouts that cried for help, a knife twisting in her heart. Ben! Daniel's voice broke through the haze. Is it him? Is he here? The vision sharpened as the shadows around them darkened, grasping at fragments of light. The locket unfolded a scene of a birthday party where the air was filled with joy and the promise of youth. Then came the dare, innocent but dangerous, leading them to the old oak by the river where Ben had slipped, where dreams had shattered. Suddenly, the shrieks of terror rang through her head. No! Emma shouted, clutching the locket tighter. We have to stop this. But the memories surged forward, swirling like a storm. The last moments of their friend, the panic, the fear gripping them all. And amidst the chaos, a flash of red Ben's shirt, fading in the water. Emma's heart sank. It was in that moment they realized the severity of their actions and the price they could pay for their youthful recklessness. The shadows writhed as if they were consuming the pain of the past, growing bigger, feeding off their guilt. You must confront the truth. The spectral voices cried. Or the darkness will consume you again. Emma, what are we going to do? Daniel's voice wavered, fear creeping into his words as the memories clawed at them, raw and sharp. We pull together, Emma declared, her heart pounding with fierce determination. For Ben. For everyone lost. We will not let the darkness define our story. With newfound resolve, she pressed forward, her voice steady. We face this together. Every truth, every memory. We breathe in forgiveness for our past. As they linked hands, the light began to spark, the shadows drew back, intimidated by the power of their united intent. Ben! They chanted, feeling the pulse of warmth radiate from their hearts. We remember. We love you. With every declaration, the shadows shrieked and recoiled. The locket glowed, illuminating their spaces, but the figures loomed too close, hungry for despair. Release us, another voice echoed from the dark. A figure stepped forward, hauntingly familiar, eyes hollow yet pleading. It was the specter of Ben, trapped but resonating with their love. Help me, please, it whispered, don't let me stay here unremembered, no. Emma felt the surge of emotion deep within, the loss, the regret, the pain that mingled with love. You're not lost. We found you. We remember you. The warmth from their joined hands pulsed through the air as the shadows shrieked, their form disintegrating in a fury. Ben's spirit flickered, torn between realms, a fragile light longing for release. Embrace me once more, he whispered, forgive me, forgive yourselves. As tears streamed down Emma's face, she felt the weight of love overpower the shadows. We did not mean to lose you, she cried. We were kids, we are still here for you. The shadows howled in despair, clawing at her resolve, but the connection between them, between life and death, was woven with threads that could not be severed by fear. Together came the unified response. A final chant, and in that moment, their power shattered the chains binding Ben, sending a wave of light surging through the darkness. It burst forth from the locket, illuminating every dark corner and releasing every lost soul. The shadows screamed one last time, dissolving into wisps, and the figures of lost children were freed, their faces serene as they transformed into starlit silhouettes, a kaleidoscope of hope dancing across a night sky. Thank you, Ben's voice echoed softly, warm with affection. Now I'm free. With that, They felt his lingering embrace wrap around them like a blanket, a whisper that promised forgiveness and love. Emma closed her eyes, feeling a surge of relief wash away the burden in her heart, when she opened them again. The world was vibrantly alive, the chaos of fear and pain replaced with an overwhelming sense of calm. The three remained, their hearts glowing, knowing they wouldn't be defined by the past but united in the present. "We did it," Daniel murmured, wiping away tears. "We faced the darkness together." "Yes," Olivia took a deep breath, glancing into the now serene woods. "And now we embrace the light of our memories, the truth of our love." As the sun began to rise over Maple Hollow, the trees whispered songs of new beginnings, and the warmth of dawn cradled their spirits. They felt free, liberated from the shackles of fear that had bound them for too long. In that moment, they knew they had rewritten their story, the chapter of pain replaced with one of healing and hope. And as they walked away from the shadows forever, they took each step with the knowledge that love conquers all, and with each heartbeat, they could finally breathe. If you've made it this far, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for our storytelling family. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing you these exclusive stories that chill you to the bone. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. What did you think? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to witness this shocking finale. Let us connect and keep the thrill alive.